Good morning, everyone. Happy to be joining you today from Academic Alliance in Dermatology once again with Dr. Matthew Zook. Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. I'm excited about this topic that we are diving into today because it is not one. We've had many conversations with many of the doctors and the team here. We have not talked about clinical trials yet. And to be honest, when I hear clinical trials, I didn't realize there was as many going on in a dermatology office. But you say your opinion of that needs to change.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do quite a bit of clinical research here. As part of Academic Alliance in Dermatology, we have an associated business called Olympian Clinical Research, OCR, and it functioned as a clinical trial unit. So basically what it does is it performs clinical trials investigating medicines. A lot of people ask to start off with, what is a clinical trial, right? How does that even work in a dermatology office? Clinical trials are really nothing more than an experiment per se. I hate to say that word because that's a negative connotation.
People get nervous about it.
And we can talk about that in a second. But it's an experiment wherein a certain medical intervention is performed and the outcomes are observed. That's really all that it is. And for us in the dermatology world, really what that means is we have this medicine, we have this therapy, and we'd like to see what the results are. We'd like to see how well it affects or corrects certain kinds of diseases or something like that. So that's really what it entails in the dermatology world.
What are some of the common ones that you see here in the dermatology office then, that clinical trials? I mean, obviously, this is something you guys have been doing for years. Are there certain ones that tend to pop up more?
There are. Psoriasis is a very big field for clinical trials. You see the advertisements for Cosentyx, Taltz, Humira, Enbrel. These are biologics. These are classes of medicines that have become very, very popular, very, very effective for psoriasis over the last couple of years. And they all went through clinical trials to get to the market, to get FDA approval. A lot of those types of medicines, not the same ones necessarily, but a lot of those types of medicines are now being investigated for atopic dermatitis, eczema, right? Really, really exciting time to be involved with eczema research because there's really not a lot of really great therapies for that. That's what people are working on now. So we're doing a lot of work with atopic dermatitis. Other things, acne is a big one, right? So we have an acne study going on right now. Always can use something better for acne, right? And so they're looking into that. Some more rare diseases, there's a condition called hidradenitis suppurativa. It's a really unfortunate disorder. It affects the axilla, the groin, the neck. You get abscesses and cysts and things, so it can be kind of debilitating. So there are people looking at that. So those are kind of some of the things we're looking at right now.
Let's address that question because, again, you said the word experiment. A lot of people going, well, wait a minute, I don't want to try something that hasn't been tried out on other people first. How safe are these trials?
They are highly, highly regulated, right? And so they're overseen by several different organizations. There's a sponsor, right, which could be the government or could be a pharmaceutical company or a nonprofit like the American Cancer Society. These are the people that are ultimately responsible for the conduct of the study, right? As well as the primary investigator, which would be myself in this case. But they set the parameters, they set the rules, they set the guidelines that the research has to happen within. And then there's also a separate entity called an institutional review board. These are boards, these are groups of people that meet and go over the data, go over the design of the study to make sure that it's safe, to make sure that it's ethical and those kinds of things. And then ultimately a lot of that falls to the primary investigator, the people in the office itself, right? We're ultimately responsible for the safety of the people. So if we see something that we're just not sure about, our duty to intervene in that and say, this might be an issue, we need to take care of that and things like that.
Well, and you were telling me there's side effects with every medicine that you take, and in this case, you're actually being seen a lot more and maybe checked on a lot more.
Yeah. So a lot of people say, well, if I can get another medicine, why would I why would I consider doing a clinical trial, right? And there are certain advantages, and that's one of them. You do probably get a little bit closer, more personalized attention, right? We see you a little bit more frequently. We maybe pay a little bit more attention to you while we're looking at you. Not that we don't for other patients either, but it's part of the protocol, it's part of the study itself.
And a lot of times they're free. They're of no charge for these patients too, correct?
Correct, yeah, there's no charge, there's no insurance involved, so it's a nice way to access some medicines for people who might not be able to otherwise.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up, how do people find out what trials are going on and seeing if their one, might be available for them? And I know you have so many locations here in the Bay Area. Not all of the locations participate in these clinical trials.
That is correct, yeah. There's a couple different ways, and let me say that clinical trials are being run for dermatology, for cardiology, for you name it, there's probably a clinical trial for it. There's a government website called clinicaltrials.gov, which lists almost every clinical trial being performed in the United States. A lot of patient groups, National Psoriasis Foundation will list studies that's going on, so that's a good thing. Or you ask your doctor or call us, Olympian Clinical Research, and we're happy to go over with whatever we have available, and if we don't have something for you, we'll hopefully be able to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, we'll make sure that info is on our website as well. Dr. Zook, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. We appreciate it. Again, very interesting conversation. I learned some things I did not know, so thank you.
Thank you.